Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Rashawn Edward, I'm from Daly Woods Consulting, and today we're going to be talking about sustainable quality. This is based off the book Sustainable Quality, a book that my boss Joe Daly recently released. Some of the topics we will be speaking about today are from that book. Today's topic covers how quality saves you money, and it's based on the first chapter of the book. So here's a look at what we will cover today. We will be going over some of the quality myths, what the real definition of quality is, how quality saves you money and improves profitability. We will be talking about the cost of quality and why it's important, and how it impacts the bottom line. And we will close with a call to action. Let's talk about 4 common myths with quality. Number 1, high quality costs more money. That's actually not true. Actually, quality saves you money. If you can eliminate all the need for reworking, retesting, reinspecting all the problems that you can avoid by doing things right the first time, then there's no need. Number 2, the quality group is the one that's responsible for quality. That's also not true. Quality is everyone's responsibility. This includes everyone across the company, the financial department, the sales and marketing team, the engineering department. Everyone has a responsibility to do things right the first time, so it should be a company-wide effort. Number 3, quality requires too much paperwork. That's also not true. It doesn't require extra paperwork if you're trying to do it right the first time. All you need is a common shared understanding of what right is. So whatever documentation it takes to make sure everyone has the same understanding, that's all you really need to get started. Number 4, don't fix it if it isn't broke. That's also not true. Every process can get better. There's always room for improvement. So if you are just lulled into a feeling that everything is running fine, you're missing out on opportunities to either save money or save time or do things better. So it'll always be examining your process essentially. Let's talk about the definition of quality. There's lots of definitions of quality that's out there, but for me, it's always layers to the definition of quality. So at a high level, there's a basic awareness about goodness and badness when you start to compare products or services. Some products are better than others, but you have to dig a little deeper than that. Ultimately, the customer gets to decide how good your quality is. So you need to understand what their expectations are, but that's not that simple. You need to know what they need, you need to know what they want, and you need to know what they expect. And those aren't always the same things. To really have a quality product that meets your customers' expectations, you really need to drill down into each of those. There's a whole sense of consistency. You can't deliver a product one time and then have a different version of that product that's not the same quality or a higher quality. You want to be consistent. So putting a structure or control in place and making things repeatable, that's part of what quality is. Then I think there's a personal level of quality, the kind of essence of quality that is internal to each person that's working on a product or service. And this is based on the environment that they're working in. If they feel like they're enabled and supported and appreciated, and they feel proud of what they're doing, they're going to build quality into everything they do. And that's where the building the quality comes in. So ultimately, you want to get people who are driven based on pride. So even if it's not perfect, they are always trying to work to make it perfect because they believe in what they are doing and they believe in who they are doing it for. So how does quality save you money? Please think about this just for a moment. If you think about the concept that if you do things right the first time, it's always cheaper than doing things over, and that's where the problems happen. If you have to keep testing things or rechecking things or re-inspecting things or fixing problems, that's actually more expensive than if you just did it right the first time. Maybe it takes a little more cost up front to make sure you're doing it right the first time, But if you do that, then it pays dividends. It eliminates all the expenses associated with fixing mistakes and errors and problems, and it improves your customer satisfaction and how they view you, and which helps boost sales with the improved quality. When you add all of this up, high quality really pays for itself. So if you take it a step further and you think about profitability, how does quality help you improve profitability? Well, there's two ways. You can look at it as increasing sales, and you can look at it as improving margins. If you're thinking about profit, then you're thinking about revenue minus expenses, right? When I think about increasing sales, I think of Ansnav's matrix. It's a common business model that's used a lot. It's about how you grow your market, and there's different elements to this. Having your existing product go to your existing market, or adding new products, or going to new markets, or completely diversifying, and you can actually build a quality strategy for each of these. So to improve profitability by increasing sales, you're going to try and increase sales, but still maintain your current costs. And using some of these quality practices, that's how you're going to maintain keeping your costs low. The other method for improving profitability would be to improve margins, and you would do that by maintaining your current levels of sales and reducing your costs, so looking at different ways of saving money, reducing waste in your process. One other way to improve your margins would be to increase value. For example, if we have two different light bulbs and they both sell for $5, light bulb A and light bulb B, let's say light bulb A lasts for 6 months and light bulb B lasts for 12 months. Well, if they're the same price, you're going to get a better value from light bulb B because it lasts longer. One of the key principles of quality is measurement. If you want to improve, you've got to be able to measure. And a good measurement is the cost of quality. This is looking at all of the costs that's associated with your investments of quality. So there's prevention costs to prevent issues from happening. There's also appraisal costs that includes things like testing, inspecting, auditing, and then there's cost of failures. There's internal failure costs. Those are the ones that you catch before they go out. And there's external failures. That's the cost of what happens when your customer notices the failure. And this is just a summary of those types of costs: prevention, appraisal, internal failure, external failure. So why is cost of quality important? Let's take a deep dive into that. So think about this. How much could you save if you did everything right the first time? If you knew that you did everything right, these are things that you wouldn't have to do. You wouldn't have to reinspect, you wouldn't have to go over design changes, you wouldn't have to work on bug fixes or retest and reshoot things. Make sure they were right. Rework ideas over, scrap ideas, troubleshoot problems. These are all things that cost you time and cost you money. Actually, one of the companies that Joe previously worked on did a cost of quality to put the cost together of one particular defect that was affecting multiple customers. They ended up spending over $10 million on that problem. And that was just at the cost figuring out what the problem was, fixing the problem, and then even after they got the fix for the problem, they still lost a bunch of sales because of the issue. When you add all of that up, it was a pretty expensive problem. The bottom line for all this is that it is not unusual for companies that do not understand what cost of poor quality is, the cost of appraisal, the cost of internal and external failures, to spend as much as 40% of sales on poor quality activities. That means that 2 days a week you're doing work again that actually wasn't done right the first time. So imagine how much you could save if you cut down that to 1 day per week, or 4 hours per week, or even 1 hour per week. That's where quality saves, and that could be a substantial saving for your company. So here's the call to action for everyone listening. Try to use quality practices to reduce cost and improve your margins. Prioritize using cost of quality. It helps you speak with different parts of your company, and in particular, your management, in a language that they would understand, and that's dollars. Putting a cost on things makes things very clear where your priorities lie. Peter Drucker said that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it, and having measurements in place helps you to improve. So really, the process is these three key steps. Measure where you currently are, set a goal for where you want to be, and develop a plan to close the gap between the two. So I know that sounds pretty simple, but there is some work we still need to do to get there. We can help you with that. We would be glad to talk about it much more, and I hope that you join us for the next video we have, which should be the next chapter of the book, Sustainable Quality. Thanks again, and thank you for joining us.